Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about my fantasy football. Well, not my fantasy football, all your guys' fantasy football. Talking about potential wildcard changes everyone could make to their teams in this window. I obviously made my wildcard happen in the last international break, and I've been happy with the changes that I've made so far on the team. Obviously we're sat right now, where are we? We're 250,000 for the world. We're doing alright. We're doing alright for ourselves. Top 2% in the world, which we will take. We will take top 2% in the world. But obviously there are some issues where I'm like, am I happy with that choice right now? Haaland definitely happy with, Semenyo definitely happy with. But let's have a chat about what other changes you could make. Obviously, let's get back to the basics. Let's get straight back, let's strip the team right back to the ground level and talk about where we should go from there. Xavi, Reinders can go, Eze can go, Semenyo can definitely stay, João Pedro can go, and Isak can go. I think right now the only two players that are on consistent form where you want them in your team are Semenyo and Haaland. And then you also really want an Arsenal defender in there. Obviously I currently have Gabriel, but Timber is actually the one that's earning those points right now, doing really well. I thought he'd struggle for the game time, but Ben White is not pushing out the team anytime soon, it seems, and he is a bit cheaper, so it might be a better option to go with Timber instead of Gabriel as of right now. I mean, some of you might want to go with both and double take on them clean sheets. After that, you're going to look at where the other clean sheets coming from. So we go on defenders and we look at maybe actually if we change it by defensive contributions, you can see Senesi is actually making the most defensive contributions. Obviously I currently have Petrovic in, take advantage of the things there, but Anderson and Tarkowski, two other players that I currently have in my teams, getting a lot of defensive coverage in there. Van Dijk, Chris Richards, who has been a massive improvement, but looking at Palace's fixtures going forward, they're a team that you might want to avoid for the time being. Even though there are frees, that Bournemouth game is difficult. Arsenal is definitely a difficult game to keep clean sheet. And Brentford potential, Brighton potential, Wolves potential, United potential, I'd say. Actually, you know, the fixtures might disillude you a little bit there. Then Burnley after that is potential in there, Fulham is potential in that, and City at home. I'd say there's even potential in that way. Palace have got City in their grass, Leeds away, and Spurs at home, Fulham home. You know what, I might be convincing myself to say, you know what, you might want to get one of these Palace defenders in after that Arsenal game, and say let the next two games go, and then you want to maybe push into that, because I think the Bournemouth and Arsenal games are tough, and the rest of them you can really probably rely on them. But then you have Alderete as well, who's 4.1 million right now, and Mukiele, who's 4 million right now. Both getting heavily involved, and Mukiele actually takes the long throw-ins for Sunderland, so for a cheeky little £4 million option, I don't think it's too bad. Same as Anderson as well, being a cheap option, but in terms of clean sheets coming up, once again we have Arsenal, Newcastle. It's not a great place for Fulham right now. You want to bring them to the team. Obviously next game Sunderland do have Wolves, which is a nice fixture for them to have. As I said, Tarkowski is also up there. Everton are a team that you're usually back on a clean sheet, so we'll bring Tarkowski into the team as well. And we'll move on. We've got a couple of defenders in there. We'll come to the midfielders now. Midfielders, don't look at defensive contributions. We'll go back to total points or team select by. A lot of people seem to have Semenyo right now and Salah. Kudus as well, someone that is highly owned, and you can see why. He's got 5 assists so far this year and 1 goal on the board now, and some nice fixtures coming up. So Kudus is someone that I would definitely look at 6.7 million as a nice option there. Enzo Fernandez, someone I've spoke about a lot on this channel. He's just been getting in the right place at the right times recently, and they've got a nice run of fixtures coming up. Forest and Spurs away are not great, but then Sunderland at home and Wolves at home and Burnley away are nice fixtures where I expect Enzo to maybe make a bit more of a mark inside of them. We've got three them, so let's go on to our forwards and try and get another forward alongside Haaland there. Obviously on the team selected by João Pedro and Gyökeres are quite highly owned, and so is Ekitike. Obviously I'd want to bring in Ekitike. I think he'd been a great addition to Liverpool so far, but it's on game time whether he's reliable enough, whether you can count on him enough. I would personally look at Nick Voltemade and say, listen, we know he's going to be starting. He's got 3 goals in 4 games, and I think that is fantastic for any player to want to bring into your team. It leaves you with now the goalkeepers, and you want to have a solid goalkeeping option. Dubravka is actually the most owned, and at 4 million you can see why it's the most owned. It's an obvious choice to have Dubravka in your team and then rely on a second goalkeeper, because there's actually only 8 goalkeepers with more points than him so far. But you can also look at Sen Lamons, who's just done really well for Man United on his debut. and potentially look at more clean sheets coming in there. Roos has done really well for Sunderland, but do you really want to promote your club's goalkeepers in your team? It might be nice, but really what you're going to look at is a good rotation for what Dubravka has, if you're going to have Dubravka in. And realistically, that Leeds game and that West Ham game are the games that I'd say Dubravka's got us covered in game week 16. So 11, so 6, 11 and 16 are really where I would say there's coverage from Dubravka. So you want to see what matches that most and where you want it covered. So 11 wins for Cardiff plays United, then you've got 12 against Arsenal there. It could be a game where you don't want either of them in. Raya potentially, obviously game week 11, they have Sunderland, so you want to keep them in still. There's nice fixtures in game week 13 and 15, there's difficult fixtures in there. Petrovic at 4.5 mil, and he's someone that I've been happy to have him right now. Villa, who haven't scored many goals, and then in 16 they play Man United, and that's just that screams to me like a goalkeeper that I want in. I'm not gonna lie, Petrovic and Dubravka seems like the perfect partnership for my goalkeeping options, and that's what I want, is a nice partnership that's cheap and it's not taking a lot of my money out. And now I've got 33 million to spend left in the bank on 5 players. Right, let's go to all players. I'm going to go on to total points and see if we're missing anyone. Obviously Senesi is high points in right now. We spoke about a potential Palace edition. If I had to go for a Palace edition, I would always go Munoz. I think Gay is obviously a cheaper option, but Munoz is fantastic and he gets involved heavily in the attacks. We go on to midfielders and we can start looking at Semenyo Caicedo, Jadon Anthony, who's done a lot of points right now, but he's obviously yellowed right now, and as a good cheap option potentially in there. Kudus, who we've already got. Cullen, Grealish is out. It's supposed to be back at the end of October. Sarr for Palace as well. João Pedro, Bowen add to the highest point earners for the attack. Obviously João Pedro, it'd be hard not to have him in your team, and that using me 3 attacks. And I've got 2 midfielders and a defender to get for 20.5 million. So he probably loses about 7.5 million each on each of the midfielders. So if we go on to midfielders again, and we probably look around the £8 million mark and see what we want to have there. Caicedo's actually got more points than Enzo, which is really surprising there. Rice for me feels like a really good option to have because he's on corners, and Arsenal, you know, they make take advantage of them corners really well. So we've got Rice in there, 6.5 mil. So let's go back onto the defenders and look at what I want to have in there. Once again, total points, maybe I don't know what we'd want to look at here. Romero, Van der Ven, I said, is really a cheap option, but Spurs just haven't been keeping the clean sheets. You know, we've got 2 clean sheets so far, 3 clean sheets so far this year. The first 2 games look really promising, but then since that, it's just not been really much going for him. Cucurella, obviously we know he's been good in that Chelsea defence and he gets forward really well. And they have a nice run of fixtures coming up. Maybe Cucurella could be the option there. He gives us 3 Chelsea players to work with going forward, and it leaves us 7.9 million to spend on this last midfielder to go on affordable, which is a nice little addition that we can change to affordable prices now. Really, I'd be looking at a Gakpo, someone who, you know, has not been doing great, but he's been starting the games regardless. He only didn't start against the Palace one, and his game he lost, and it's only lost badly. Nice fixtures coming up, and Gakpo, it seems to smell any play, so that's what I would really play right now if I was looking at my wild card. The players that I'd be highly willing to bring in are Walter Maid, Kudus and Enzo. I would say they're the 3 that I'd be looking at most, being like, ooh, Timber for Gabriel as well. I mean, it's chalk and cheese, that one. It's not too deep into talking about. Well, Walter Maid is someone that I really want to bring into my actual team, but obviously it means taking that risk and dropping Isak, and it's a risk that I might take. I think I'll wait and see how he does against Brighton, but after that, some nice enough fixtures where I might take the risk on him. We'll wait and see how he does in that Brighton game, because he pops up with a goal, and sometimes that's all you need. That is all you need sometimes, is just that goal to get you over the line and get you them points. That is going to be the end of the video, guys. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. Thank you for watching, guys, and hopefully I do catch you next time. Cheers.